So good afternoon all. So in the last class we discussed about anonymous functions. In today's class we are going to discuss about another function is the filter function. Filter function. So after that fruitful function. So fruitful function is nothing but if a function return any value, so that function we are called as a fruitful function. So after that we discuss about the scope of the variable and recursion also. So recursion. Okay. So recursive function. So what is the recursion? So recursion is the what the function is calling itself is known as a recursion. Okay. We are going to discuss in detail about all these topics. Last class we discussed about this lambda function. The filter function. Filter function. So what is the use of the filter function means? The filter function will take sequence as parameters and it will filter some values based on some condition. If you observe here, the L value equals to you're taking some numbers. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So these are the values we assign to a list L. Now I want to filter that all the even numbers in a list and all the odd numbers in a list. Okay, how? So by using this filter, after that in brackets you are going to specify some condition here. Here the condition I specify with the help of a function. What is the lambda function? The lambda function have arguments. So these are the arguments, and so this is the expression. So this is the expression. The lambda x. So that means this is the argument, comma L. That means the L is a sequence here. So what is the filter function? Filter function will take sequence. So what is the sequence here? L is the sequence. So L is the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. In first iteration, the 2 is assigned to x. In next iteration, 3. In next iteration, 4. Like that. Okay. So lambda x, x percentage 2 equals to 0. That means, I hope you all know these two conditions. So how we can find a number is even number or not? If it is divisible by 2, that is equals to 0, then we say that the number is even number. So similarly, if percentage 2 not equals to 0, then we say that the number is odd number. Okay, now you apply this function on each item in this L. Now all the even numbers are stored in a list EL and all the odd numbers are stored in a list OL. Okay, we execute this program. Okay, here I'm taking one list here. So L equals to 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So after that, I'm going to apply filter function. So I'm taking two variables. One is EL, another one is OL. EL is nothing but say even list. OL is nothing but odd list. So for this, I'm going to apply this filter. So filter on. I apply filter on a list, a sequence that is L here. And what is the function I'm going to apply? So lambda. The argument is x percentage 2 x percentage 2 equals to 0. If this condition is true, then the sequence in the number is assigned to this list. And similarly for so odd list, you are going to apply the filter lambda x percentage 2. Here the condition is it is not equals to 0. So then the elements is assigned to where. So after that I'm going to print the list of EL, the print list of OL. So list of OL. That's it. Okay. Okay. If you observe that this is the output for this program. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 3, 5, 7, 9. All the even numbers are stored in the list EL. All the odd numbers are stored in the list OL. Okay. So this is about filter function. The next concept, one more time, we are going to see about map function. So this function is very important. What is a map function? The map function will apply on a sequence, and you are going to apply a function on all the elements in the list. For example, so this is the list elements. For all these numbers, for example, I want to add 1. Then we are going to write, you are going to define one function. Now, so this function will apply on all the elements in this array, all the elements in this list. So now the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Here I write for square. So 2 square, 3 square, 4 square. So that means all the numbers here in this list. And I am going to find the square of all these elements and I store these numbers in a list. The list name is square. Okay. The map function, it will take an expression in the form of function and a sequence to perform an operation over all the elements of the sequence as an input, and it will return all the elements which are having the manipulations. That means, so this is the sequence here, L. So what is the sequence? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, on this all elements, we are going to apply a function here. This is the function. So this is the anonymous function, the lambda. Now you apply this. What is the function here? So x square, that means 2 square, 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81. And so this will return to a list that is square. Okay, now if you print the list of square, it prints the 4, 16, the 25, 31, 49, 64, and 81. So now we execute this program. So this is the list L. So I'm taking another list, square list. For example, square L equals to map of lambda x. So I'm going to find x square. So you can write x into x or like this. And what the sequence here? The sequence is L here. This is the sequence. The map of the lambda, the x square. So this is the argument to this lambda function, and x square is the expression. Now, if you print square L. Now it prints. Here you are going to write list of. Okay. So these are the numbers, and these are the pair of all these numbers. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And similarly here, so 4, 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, and 81. Now, if you observe that, what is the difference between the map and filter? So the map and filter. In filter, you are going to take this list. On this list, you are going to apply some filter. So here the condition. This is the condition x percentage 2 equals to 0. You are going to apply this condition on all the elements in the list. On all the elements in the list. So it is filter. You are filtering this list. Some of the elements are stored in one list and other elements are stored in another list. Okay, here coming to map, you are going to apply this function, lambda function, on all the elements of this L. Okay, so that will stored in a list square. So this is about map function. The next one, fruitful functions. Fruitful function. What is fruitful function is nothing but, I hope you all are know. So every function in C, you all are learned that The function is a combination of return type and function name. In brackets, you are going to give the arguments. Arguments after open bracket, and you write the statements and close the bracket. So this is the structure of a function here in C programming. But coming to Python, you are going to define a function like this: def, function name, arguments. Okay, after that you write the instructions. Here, the fruitful function is nothing but if a function that return any value, which we will call fruitful function. That means if the function contains a return statement, if the function contains the return statement, if the function returns any value, so that function we are called as a fruitful function. If you observe that here, the def add a comma b. So how we write this program? So normally we write this program like this. The print So we define a function def add a comma b, and here we are going to write so print a plus b. So print a plus b. So here we call add 2 comma 3. 2 comma 3. We execute this program. It prints 5 as output. So 5 as a output. But this is we don't call this function add as a fruitful function. Why? So this function add does not return any value. So here, if I write like this, if this function return a value, if this function return a value, so that we are called as a fruitful function. Now this add function we are called as a fruitful function. Okay. So now if you observe that, so this is the main area. This is the main function. Now from main function, you call this add. That means, so let us assume, so this is the memory. In this memory, so this is the memory allocated for main. So memory allocated for main function. Now, so this function calls add 2 comma 3. So this is another function. Add 2 comma 3 is another function. Now, so this function return 2 plus 3 5. Now, so this 5 is returns to calling function. Okay. So now, so here the main is calling function, add is called function. After execution of the called function, the 5 is returned to main. So this 5 is returned to main function. Now we assign this 5 to a variable. So here when you return any value, any function returns any value, then we are going to assign the return value to a variable. So here we are going to give a value, for example a equals to add 2 comma 3. Now what happened now? So add 2 comma 3 is a function. Now so this function returns so a plus b, that is 2 plus 3, that is 5, that is assigned to a variable a. Now if I print a, now it prints 5. Okay. So similarly, so multiplication also. Multiplication of a comma b, so return a into b, Now the return value is assigned to a variable a, and it prints changes. Okay, same here, multiplication. Now it returns 6 here. Okay. So that means what is a fruitful function? If the function returns a value to the calling function, then we say that the function is a fruitful function. Okay. So next, scope of the variable. Scope of the variable. So what is the scope? There are two types of the variables. One is global variable and second one is local variable. So what is local variable? If we declare any variable inside a function, then the variable is called as a local variable. Okay, we are discussing from last few days, we're discussing about the functions. So functions. Now, in these functions, you are going to declare some variables. So for example, in our previous example, you write like this: add a comma b, add a comma b, and in main also you are going to take some variables: a equals to 10, b equals to 20, like this. Now the a and b, you can, these a and b you can access from any function in the program or not, or so these a comma b defined in this a particular function add, you can access from anywhere in the program or not. Okay, so that will be depend on the definition of or declaration of these variables, where you declare these variables. You declare these variables locally or globally. Okay, so what is local variable? If you declare any variable inside a function, if you declare a variable inside a function, then the variable is called as a local variable. Okay, if you declare any variable outside of the function, then that variable is called as global variable. Okay, if you define inside the variable, inside the function, that we are called as a local variable. If you declare any variable outside of the function, so that we are called as a global variable. This is the theory. Okay, so let us assume, so for example, this is the main area. So this is the main area, that means the main function. So these are the functions, let us assume. So these four are the functions. So function 1, function 2, 3, 4. So this is the main. That means outside the function. If I define a variable a, so this can be accessed within this main, and this can be accessed from any of the function from the any of the functions in this program. But if you define a variable a in function 1, then this a can be accessed within this function 1 only. Okay, so that means the Python interpreter, for example, if I print a here, so print a here, then the Python interpreter can check that is the variable a is available in the local variable list. If it is available in the local variable list, it will print the value. It will print the value. So otherwise, it checks global list. Otherwise, it checks global list. Now we see one example program. Okay, this is the example program. Okay, now everyone please concentrate. So how many functions we define here? How many functions? 4 functions. One is function 1. Let us assume, so this is the function 1. This is function 2. This is function 3. Function 4. And outside of the function, if I define any variable here in any other place, so that is outside the function here. Now we define that. So a equals to 100. I define a outside the function. So a equals to 100. A equals to 100. So function 1, a equals to 11, b equals to 12. That means a equals to 11, b equals to 12. I define inside a function and define function 2, a naught. Any doubt? A naught. A naught. If you have any doubts, place your doubt in the chat box. Okay, in function 2, I define another variable b here. B equals to 33. Similarly, in function 3, I define 2 variables. Let us first we take only b. So b equals to 44. We discuss about a and we execute the program. And function 4, we don't define anything. Okay, so now, so function 1 is called. Function 1 is called. So here, the Python interpreter prepare one global list. So that is a equals to 100. And for the function 1, there are local list. The local list is a and b variable. So a equals to 11 and b equals to 12. Here, if I print a comma b, if I print a comma B. So now it prints the A value is 11 or 100. 11 or 100. Everyone please give the response in the chat box. If I print A comma B, function 1. For function 1, if I print A comma B, now, so what is the expected output? It prints 1112 or 112. 1112 or 112. Yes. It prints 1112 only. It prints 1112. So why? Here I try to print A comma B value. So Python interpreter can check that is the variables are locally available. Yes, A and B are locally available. So it prints 11 and 12 as output. Okay. After that, I call function 2. So function 2. Here, again I print A comma B value. Now what is the expected output? Now what is the expected output here? In this case, if I print A comma B, so what is the expected output for this? The print A comma B means what is the expected output? Everyone please give the response in the chat box. Yes, it prints 100 comma 33. It prints 100 comma 33. Why? The Python interpreter can check in the local list and A is not available. So now it checks A in global list. Yes, A value equals to 100. So it prints 100 comma 33 as output. 100 comma 33 as a output. In next iteration, in next is we call the function 3. So we call the function 3. Now you observe that global A. I define a variable A here. That means that we can define globally. That means so we cannot define this A inside the function. If you are using A, if you give the instruction A equals to 200, then the variable is defined in function 3. But we define this A as a global, so a variable is created globally. A that equals to 200. That equals to 200. Now, if I print A comma B, if I print A comma B, what is the expected output? It checks that A is available in locally. No. So A is available in global list. So it prints 244. Okay. So after that, the function 4. So function 4. In function 4, there is only one instruction, that is print A. The print A means it prints 200 as output. So 200 as a output. Okay. So this is about scope of the variable. Okay, I hope you all understand the scope of the variable. This is very important topic when you answer the objective type questions. Okay. You all know about the scope of the variable when you answer objective type questions. Okay. So next concept, this is also very important concept, recursive function. Recursive function. What is recursion? Okay, I hope you all understand that. So recursion is also similar to looping. Similar to looping. First, you understand this concept. If you understand this looping, then you easily understand the recursion. Recursion. Okay. I hope you all are completed of C programming. So you all are understands that recursion is nothing but a function calling itself is known as a recursion. So what is a recursion? So recursion is nothing but a function calling itself is known as a recursion. So coming to definition, if we access a function within the same function, then that function is called as a recursive function. Okay, that is a function calling itself is known as a recursive function. So normally we call the function from main function. So for example, so this is the definition of the factorial function. and so this is the main function. Okay, so from this function, normally from the main function, you call the another function. But coming to recursive function, a function calling itself is known as a recursive function. And coming to recursion, in recursion, we are going to do two things. One is you are going to give the solution, you are going to give the solution, or you are going to reduce the problem. You are going to reduce the problem. Reduce the problem. Okay. So two things you are going to do in recursion. First one is you are going to either you are going to send the solution to the calling function, or you are going to reduce the problem. Okay. So we discuss with one example for better understanding. So this is the program for factorial of n number. So factorial of n number. So actually how we can write this program? So normally we write this program like this. The factorial. So by using looping, you are going to write the program. So for example, I give so n equals to 5 for I in range of 1 comma so n plus 1. You are going to take one fact value. So fact equals to fact into I. You write 5. Initially, I am going to take fact equals to 1. We are going to print the fact value. So this is the one. I hope we discussed about this in our previous classes. So how we are going to find the factor of a number. Now we are going to solve the same problem with the help of factorial. So how here? So this is the main function. You all are observe carefully. So this will help when you solve the gate questions also. In gate also, they are asking one or two questions regarding recursion. So how we can solve this recursion? So here fact equals to factorial of 5. What is this factorial of 5? So this is function call. So this is function call. So for example, if I write fact equals to 5, now the 5 is a constant assigned to fact. But coming to the factorial of 5, what's the value of factorial of 5? We don't know. So this is the function call. So this is the, let us assume. So this is the main function. So this is the memory allocated for main function. For the first instruction, fact equals to factorial of 5. So factorial of 5. So this is the function call. So in stack, the memory is allocated. So what is the n value here? So n equals to 5. So this is the definition of factorial. So this is the factorial function. Okay. So n equals to 5. And take f equals to 1. N equals to 0. I already told you that. So there are two things we are going to do in recursion. Either you send the solution or you reduce the problem. So what is the n value here? 5. If I don't return any value, any solution, then I reduce the problem from 5 to 4. Okay. So here f equals to 1 you are taking initially, and n equals to 0. 5 equals to 0? No. So this is false. So enter into this block, and f equals to n into factorial of 4. Okay, here we don't know the factorial of 4 here. So again, the memory is allocated to factorial of 4. Now the n value equals to 4. Again, so this condition will be false, and else so f equals to n into Factorial of 3 here, 3. Now also we don't know value of factorial of 3. So again the function is called. Now the value is of n equals to 3. F equals to 3 into fact of 2. 3 into fact of 2. We don't know value of fact of 2. So again the function is called. Now the n value equals to 2. N value equals to 2. And f equals to 2 into fact of 1. Fact of 1 here. Now again the function call. Memory is allocated. So n equals to 1. F equals to 1 into fact of 0. Fact of 0. We don't know the value of fact of 0. Again, the memory is allocated. Now, n equals to 0. Here, n equals to 0. True. This condition will be true. And it returns 1. It returns 1 here. This 1 is So this 1 is assigned in the place of fact of 0. That means 1 into 1, that is 1, written here. There is another function here, written f. What is f here? 1. So this 1 is written to this function. Instead of factorial 1, so this is the 1. 2 into 1, 2. So return this 2 to the calling function. 3 into 2 now, 6. Now, the 6 is assigned to calling function. The place of 3, you are going to give 6. So, 4 into 6, 24. Now, the 24 is assigned to fact of 4. That means 5 into 24. That is 120. So, 120 is returned to this main. Okay. In each iteration, the memory is deallocated. Okay. So, after return the value, the memory is deallocated for each function call. Now fact equals to 120. So that is assigned here. Okay, understand that if I write fact equals to 5, is the constant. So the 5 is assigned to this variable. But the factorial of 5, the fact for factorial of 5, we don't know the value. So we are going to call the factorial function. In each iteration, we are going to find the factorial of n minus 1 like this, and the values are written to the calling function. So the 120 is assigned to a variable fact here. After you are going to print the fact value. Okay. I hope everyone understand recursion. Now we execute this program. Same program. We are going to define a factorial. So this is the n here. Okay, we are going to take one value. So you can take any variable. Here we are going to return answer if n equals to 0 or n equals to 1. Anything is okay. If n equals to 1, return 1 here. Else f equals to n into factorial of n minus 1. Factorial of n minus 1. At the end, you are going to return the fn. Okay. So now this is the main function. The fact is the variable equals to factorial of 5. That's it. Now I'm going to print the value of the factorial. Factorial equals to fact value. This is the value. Okay, you observe that factorial equals to 120. If I give 6 here, the factorial of 6 is 720. Okay, I hope you all are understand. So how we solve this factorial problem with recursive function. Okay. So this is end of the today class. Okay, thank you all. To meet in tomorrow class. Thank you.